everybody and welcome to this playthrough video for Rookie Division in the Festive Cup Tournament. The video is sponsored by Gold Clash and Playdemic, so let's go! So we start out with the backbone here, going straight at the pin. Max backspin. You can see I had around 5 bars of backspin combined with 3 bars of side spin to the right. Aiming directly on the green using an over adjustment of 10%. The reason I'm using that is because we're playing downhill. And then we need to add because the ball is going to be in a longer time in the air. Now we only have 1 mile per hour in wind, so that is not going to affect that much. But when coming down to having 4 or 5 miles per hour, that is going to be very important to adjust a little bit more because we're playing downhill. Before our opponent takes his first shot, then check down in the video description down below. There you can find direct timestamps to all the holes in this playthrough. Have in mind as well that all these holes is going to have snow on it. These holes are recorded just before the update, so that's the reason why there isn't snow on them. But we're still going to play the holes in the same way as described here in the playthrough. Also, the playthrough doesn't show the wind we're going to have in the tournament because no one knows. So this is a general playthrough giving you the advice and the pointers on how to play the holes with a different type of wind. So this was hole number 1, and now we're going to go directly to hole number 2. And hole number 2 is going to be a par 4, one of the tougher par 4s that we do have in the game overall. So the thing that we need to look for is that we need to look for I call it pockets, fairway pockets to the right, where we actually can land our ball in the center, let the ball fall down there. We're going to have to focus on getting it to the second one at least. If we do get to the third one, that's going to be a plus, but the second one is going to be possible. With the first pocket to the right, then we're not going to be able to reach for the green in 2, no matter what type of wind club we're going to have. We're going to add 10% extra to this adjustment as well, as we're playing this one downhill. You can see here our opponent's using a basic ball, and I would highly suggest that you actually are using at least a power 1 or like maybe at least a power 2 ball actually. But the most important ingredients here for our ball is the side spin. We need to use max side spin to the left, and that we can achieve with a quasar that you have 4.5 bar side spin, or we can use a katana that has even more. And the thing is that we do want to do is to prevent our ball to get that massive push down to the right. As you can see, we get pushed down to the right as the fairway slopes from left to right. 2 bars of topspin I'm using there to get into the last pocket, the pocket number 3. And that is going to help us definitely being able to reach for the green in 2. Our opponent here is in the rough, and even with the off-roader and even with a Nirvana in an upgraded level, it's going to be a very tough shot. So be very cautious, be very focused on your drive, because we are going to see players making pars on this hole a lot because they cannot fix the drive. And in the updated text guides and also in the updated playthrough that will come out when the tournament has started, I'm definitely going to pinpoint some specific things when it comes to the drive that we're going to play here for hole number 2. Now, in the position we are at, I'm not going to use any topspin, any backspin, any side spin whatsoever. Aiming slightly right of the pin, because the ball is going to take the first bounce on the first piece of fairway, second bounce just before the fringe, and that second bounce is going to push the ball a little bit to the left. So it's very easy to miss the green, miss the pin on the left side, because we are either over adjusting or the wind is going to push us too much to the left. So this was hole number 2, ladies and gentlemen. Very tough par 4. Be happy with a birdie. Now we go to hole number 3, the first par 5, and I would say, as I said in the hole guide as well, that this is kind of a boring hole for people and for players that are playing rookie, because it doesn't matter if we do have 5 miles per hour in tailwind, 5 miles per hour crosswind, 5 miles per hour headwind, we're still not going to reach for the green in 2. So the thing that we need to fight for here is to make an easy drive with our either the quarterback or the extra mile, so you are not getting yourself into the rough or into the sand. If you get into the rough or into the sand with your drive, you're going to have even a tough time to get yourself making a birdie on a par 5. and that is something that that shouldn't happen. That is not why we're playing, to fight for having a birdie on a par 5. So we're going to fight for putting ourselves in a position where we're going to have the option of making the eagle. I'm going to use a marlin ball here, and the question I get a lot when playing this hole is, why don't I use a power 3 ball, because it would be better with distance. But still, when you think about it here, as I said, no matter what type of wind we're going to have, we are not going to be able to reach for the green in 2. So then it's better to save our Titan, save our Quasar, save our Navigator, and as most, use a Marlin, in my opinion. Putting ourselves there up to the top, and you can see I'm not even close to the top. But for the second shot, we're just going to transport ourselves on the fairway here and have no problem to reach for the green in 2. The second shot though, there is one key thing there that I would like to get out to you. That is to use the big dog or the horizon. Both of them allow you to have a good amount of distance on your club, but most of all, they have a good amount of topspin, because those clubs will make it possible for you to bounce over the rough there in the center and put ourselves up for a long iron shot towards the pin. From the position our opponent is at, being on the fairway, then you will have a wood club towards the pin, which is again also going to be a no problem to reach for the green in 2. You can see here I'm lining up just here in the center. I do want you to use 1 to 3 bars of side spin to the left to just make sure that even if you hit the ball great to the right, you're not going to fall down to the right side of the rough, because the fairway is sloping a little bit down to the right. So that's the only reason we're using that. You can see also the top spin, we took ourselves over the rough there as well. So to try to summarize this, the 2 first shots that we made, the drive 10% extra, we're going to play that shot downhill, and that's important. Don't overplay it, and with overplay it I mean don't push it too hard to get it as close to the rough on the top as possible. It's not necessary. Of course, the closer to the top, the better, but it shouldn't be in a way that we're endangering going into the rough, and then for the step 2, endangering not being able to reach for the green in 3. And when we come to the second shot, we use the club with the most power, most topspin, bouncing ourselves over the rough or just on the side if we want to, just that we make sure that we are on fairway for our third shot. When we come to the third shot here, we're going to use the long iron that we feel most comfortable with, using the back of the green to let the ball fall back down. If we do have enough backspin, let's say we would be having 5 or 6 bars of backspin on our long iron, then we can go straight at the pin and have a very good opportunity from distance there. But now I'm using the back of the green to just make sure that I'm not putting myself in any obstacles, or like close to any obstacles like the rough or the sand, to just make sure that at least we're going to secure a birdie and also going to have a shot from distance for the eagle. So hole number 3, first par 5, again not the funniest one, but we need to make the birdie here. So let's go to hole number 4. Hole number 4, par 3. So we have 2 par 3s of the first 4 holes, and this one is actually going to be a better hole-in-one opportunity than you might see it as. And so we are not going to play it as our opponent is doing. The reason is the following. When using the backspin approach as our opponent is doing, using max backspin, 4.5 bar backspin as the backbone level 6 is having, then you're going to risk, if you just make a lousy drive or you're just aiming slightly off, that you're going to get up to the green and fall back down to a lower point of the green and have a very tough putt to secure the birdie. Sure, if you do know how to adjust, if you do know how to play this hole with that backspin approach, it definitely has its advantages as well. But I feel very comfortable playing it a little bit further back, so I'm not having the rough and the sand and that crazy first bounce to adjust for. So I'm just using either this platform, as I'm aiming at now, or even further back to the beginning of that fairway. When having tailwind, I'm not using any topspin or any backspin. No curl or no side spin either, as that push is going to push us a little bit to the left. Make sure that we're not hitting great to the right, and we're going to be pushed more to the left. If I do have headwind, I'm going to use 1 bar of topspin. If I'm having crosswind, I'm going to use half a bar of topspin, just to make sure that we're getting it up to the hill and give ourselves an opportunity to make a hole-in-one on hole number 4. Also, something that I need to add for hole number 4 that I did forgot, add 10%. We're playing downhill, I'm sorry about that. Add 10%, add 10%, 5, 10. Oh, I don't know, I'm weird. So hole number 5, par 4. And this is a par 4 that we have been playing so many times, or like so many times, and maybe putting too big on that. But the thing that we have been playing this one before in tournaments. So, and in rookie, when we're playing from front tee, there is only one way, in my opinion, to play this hole that gives us a consistent result for our drive, no matter what type of wind we're going to have. And that is playing on the left side of the tree. Now our opponent goes right side of the tree, but he's playing with a quarterback and a basic ball and cannot reach over on the left side. But we are going to put ourselves in the position that we can do that at least. So with an extra mile, we're going to choose either a power 1, power 2, power 3 ball, which is going to be Navigator, Quasar, Katana, or Titan. We're going to aim just after the rough and the sand there to let the ball bounce with max topspin, and also the side spin that we do have on the Navigator. 2 bars of side spin is going to be way enough. You can see here now with the curl and also with a great shot to the right, we're coming in too much to the right and going to cut a little piece of that tree. But in the end, we're still going to bounce over and be on the fairway, and that's the thing that we are looking for. So if I would be hitting a perfect drive, then that would be a much better shot. So that's the way that I prefer to play it. That's the way that I prefer to teach it out as well. The only way I would say go another direction would be if we would be having a quarterback, we maybe haven't unlocked the extra mile, we have a lower level quarterback, then we need to play it short on the right side. So we're going to have a wood club for the pin, and I might going to show that in regular playthrough when the tournament is starting, depending on the wind that we're going to have. So now we're going to play with the runner, and here I'm going to use a little bit too much of backspin, and the runner is not the preferred short iron in my book. Most likely you're going to have the runner unlocked in a lower level before you get the thorn or before you get the hornet. But if you have the hornet or the thorn in level 2+, then that is going to go before the runner, in my opinion. Going to aim straight at the pin. We're not going to add anything for elevation whatsoever. We're going to add 10% for elevation for our drive. That's the only thing that we're going to add in elevation there. And otherwise, that is definitely a very good opportunity for an eagle. And I do believe that it's almost a must eagle at least 1 out of 2 times in the weekend round to gain the win in this tournament. Hole number 6, another very tough par 5, especially if we would be having some crosswind or some headwind. Here I would prefer that you play with a power 3 ball. Even though in this example I'm playing with a power 1 ball, the Quasar, I still prefer that you use the Titan so you do get the distance, especially for the second shot. We're going to first and foremost add 20% extra for our drive, as we're playing this one massively downhill. So 20% is a lot, but it's going to be crucial because especially with some crosswind, but also with the tailwind and headwind, the ball is going to react way differently than just adding 5 or 10% to our adjustment. So our opponent is going to go on the right side, and I think that's a mistake. I see you playing either the direction that I took there, or I see you playing with a different driver, but on the first piece of fairway on the left, before the rough is even starting. And then that club is going to be the big topper. As I say, Mr. Topper, our dear friend. We're going to use with max topspin there to gain as much distance there on the fairway as possible, and then we're definitely taking away the risk of having to go with overpower and stuff like that. So it depends a little bit how the wind is going to be in the tournament, how we're going to approach the drive there. Second shot, important, as I said again, we do want to have a power 3 ball for the second shot, as we do need distance. At least we're going to play with the big dog as giving us the distance that is needed. But with headwind, to bounce over the bunker, we do need to go with overpower, and that's not something that I prefer to do, because the bounce there before the bunker is pretty irregular, or pretty inconsistent is the right word in Swinglish. Then you are going to be sometimes in the rough or sometimes in the bunker and have a problem to even secure the eagle. So I'm taking a very conservative and a safe route, bouncing with the top spin I'm having on the big dog, bouncing over the rough and the rock there, putting myself up for a very easy wedge towards the pin. If going more like aggressive towards the pin, we can definitely land that one on green as well, but I wanted to show you that approach, as we do sometimes not have to push it so hard. If we feel comfortable with our wedge, we don't have to push it that hard to get it to the green, because even if we hit our wedge great, we're still going to get this ball in the hole for an eagle, and that's what we're looking for in the end. So this was hole number 6, and we're going to walk over to hole number 7, a par 4, the last par 4 that we're going to have in the tournament. And this is also one of the courses that, this is one of the courses that hasn't been a lot in tournaments, and that is definitely something that I kind of enjoy, because I like this hole. You can play it right side, you can play it left side. I suggest that you play it left side, because that is definitely going to give you an easier way to approach the pin for your second shot. I'm going to add 10% to our adjustment. That is very important as we're playing downhill. If we're going to play to the left, we do need to aim more to the left, as we did there as well, with max side spin left and also max curl with extra mile level 6. So around 50% of curl, or like 45 as the extra mile has in stat of curl, and that is going to be max. So if you have more curl on your drive, then try to take away a little bit of curl, so you're not putting yourself in the risk of going into the rough on the left. So if you do not have a ball with the side spin in any form, and you maybe don't feel comfortable going to the left, you may have a club without no curl whatsoever, play on the right side then, trying to land up to the right side of the rock and the sand there in the middle, so you at least have a shot for the pin for the second shot, even though you're basically going to say bye-bye to the eagle, or at least the eagle attempt, and going to have to fight for getting a birdie. It's going to be a birdie. A birdie is going to be better than a par if going into the rough or into the sand. For the second shot, we're not going to add anything for our adjustment here. We're going to play it as it is, and we're going to play it bouncing over the bunker. Many of the times, if we play this one with a power 3 ball, we're going to play our wood club in minimum distance of our club, or we're going to play with a long iron in maximum distance here. But I'm going to play it with the big dog, 2 bars of backspin, 2 bars of side spin to the right, aiming up straight at the pin, and then letting the ball do the job. I'm going to adjust for minimum distance of our club and no elevation adjustment whatsoever. And sure, now we need to hit the ball perfect, otherwise we're going to not get this ball in the hole. So we hit it great and we miss it to the right. But this is how hole number 7 works, at least a safe and secure birdie. Hole number 8! Par 3, last par 3, and this looks very, very scary. And the thing that I see here is that we're going to play this one with our long iron. And our long iron here is going to be the Goliath, which is going to allow us to go with 4 bars of backspin. So I want you to focus on having a long iron that gives you at least 5 bars of backspin. 4 bars could work in tailwind as well, but I would say 5 bars would be more preferred in tailwind, as the extended ball guideline is going to be big time here when approaching the green. First and foremost, we're going to add 10% extra to our adjustment, otherwise we're going to go short, like our opponent did do. So I'm having a power 1 ball here, and I'm going to play with the Goliath that gives us distance. A Goliath level 6 is maybe too good of a club to play in rookie, so that's why I'm saying use a club that do give you at least 4.5-5 bars of backspin, so you at least can play this one well if you have a tailwind to play directly on the green. And playing with a backbone or with a Saturn will will be needed to play with a power 3 ball, so you will be able to reach for the green without being in between clubs. Weighted perfect. And you can see the trick here, bouncing on the fringe, getting up there. We're getting a little bit short, but you can see here the ball is going to fall back down for a potential hole-in-one. Hole number 8 is definitely going to be an hole-in-one hole, in my opinion, especially if we do have the club for it. If we don't have the club for it, it's going to be very tough. But then we need to still go for it there. We need to go for it on the pin, because bouncing on the fairway before is going to be so inconsistent for us, and that is going to be so tough. Hole number 9, we're going to add 5% extra to our drive. Not 10, not 15, not 25, only 5. Yellow ring just by the rough there on the right. Max side spin to the right. 3.5 bar topspin. 3 bars topspin can work with tailwind as well. If we do have crosswind, I would like you to play with 3.5, 4 bars of topspin. If I do have headwind, then I would like to play with max topspin, so around 4.5, 5. Not more than 5 though, because we don't want to go into the rough or in the sand on the top. Max curl to the right as well. And then we're going to be there on the fairway. And with max curl, I mean max curl for the extra mile level 6, which is going to give us around 45 in curl in stat. And that is going to be very, very important. Very, very important. So we're not gaining, like, let's pretend we would be having a club that have more curl to the right. Like, let's have like 75 or something like the quarterback. Or maybe like a lower level apocalypse, like level 1 I'm talking about then. Then we could over curl and curl it into the rough or into the sand on the right. And do like our opponent's doing. Because if you go into the rough or in the sand to the right, you will have no chance whatsoever to reach for the green in 2. So you really need to pay attention to that. We can play our ball to the left side of the fairway as well with a drive, but we are most likely not going to have the club to be able to reach for this fairway bounce in 2. The only way I would consider to go on the left side, if we would be having a straight tailwind towards the pin from the left area, then it could be something. But with crosswind, yes, or a minor tailwind or some headwind, not play that. Adjusting and playing on this playing this shot here is going to be played uphill, so we do need to subtract 10% for this adjustment. That is going to be very, very important. So now we're going towards the pin here, making a safe eagle. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the playthrough for Rookie Division in the Festive Cup Tournament. All the holes is from City Park. These are the holes that we're going to play. Have in mind that you're going to have snow on the courses that you're going to play in the tournament, so don't be alarmed. It's still the same way that we're going to play. If you do have any questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, good luck in the Festive Cup Tournament, and the video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic.